Hey everybody, Seagulls are cool here, or Brandon Redfield, and today's video was going to be my personal top 10 list of the top 10 Call of Duty eSports teams of all time. These teams were ranked in, of course, how many championships they've won, what they've done to the league, the eSports community, what their impact was, things like that. And another thing, it's going to be also ranked by the year. Not just the organization, but the year of that organization. So you're definitely going to see at least one or two teams be on here twice, just because of some years they really dominated the scene, and another year maybe they didn't do so well. The gameplay in the background is just me and my buddies I do UMGs with, playing Domination on Infection. Alright, let's get right into the list now, since I've covered everything. Number 10 is going to be Strictly Business of 2014. Now, Strictly Business in 2014, the roster consisted of Censor, Dito, Saints, and Apathy. Now, this team really surprised me when I watched them that year. They took the US Championship against the number one team, I think the number one seed in the whole tournament, Envious, and it was just it was really that underdog team, really really just showing that it doesn't matter how good you are, you can still, no matter how good the other team is, you can still beat them. They really made underdogs a thing in that year, and I definitely think they deserve to be on this list, and maybe on every list to come for me. Alright, number 9 is going to be Optic Gaming of 2014. Now, the Optic Gaming 2014 roster consisted of Nadeshot, Scump, Clayster, and Proofy. Now, this team, they didn't win many events that year, but the thing that kind of made me put them on this list is, one, they were this year for them, this Optic Gaming year, was probably the most they really took off as we're staying in COD competitive forever. We're gonna be a main staple here. We're not leaving. That's what I liked about them that year. Plus, they were the first ever X Games gold medalist winner. That's just a great thing in its own, winning the first ever gold medal in competitive for Call of Duty. And like I said, they just really skyrocketed as a team that's going to stay in COD community forever. Clayster, Proofy, Scump, and Shot really made Optic really well. It's honestly, that Optic roster started a lot for Optic, in my opinion. Alright, next one is number 8, which is Quantic Leverage of 2011. Now, Quantic Leverage 2011 roster consisted of Aches, TP, Scump, and Proofy. And when you talk about powerhouse teams, this was the Optic before Optics. I remember watching them in 2011 BO1, and they were just dominant. If you thought Scumpy was good now, he was still great back then. Proofy was still a god. The original duo in Call of Duty was still great. They really dominated the Black Ops scene. They lost a couple tournaments, but they really did dominate. They were the evil geniuses before evil geniuses. It's kind of funny because two of the people did go to evil geniuses. But yes, Quantic Leverage is definitely one of those teams that should always be in a COD top 10 list, in my opinion, for esports teams. Just they had such a great impact in the earlier years of competitive. Alright, number 7 is going to be, number 7 is going to be Envious of 2012 and 2014. Now, that roster consisted of, for the 2012 roster, it was Rambo Ray, Proofy, Stainville, and JCat. And then for the 2014 roster, it was Rambo Ray, Study, Mark, and Nameless. Now, both those rosters and all those players, they were just amazing. Each year of that COD, they got second place at the World Championship. Now, people would say, oh, it's still second place, it doesn't matter unless you're first. You really got to think, though, getting second place twice in a row, especially in Ghosts, where they were not ranked. They were ranked, top 5, but definitely not top 3. No one thought they would get to the finals. And plus, the 2012 roster and 2013 made it to the first ever World Championship. and they were just dominant that year, in my opinion, on Black Ops 2. Ghost, they were still dominant, but a little less dominant. But Envious is just one of those teams where it's so much history that no matter who they put on, it's going to be a great roster, in my opinion. But yeah, just taking second place at World Championships twice in like back-to-back years is, in my opinion, is a great achievement, and I think we should definitely recognize that as one of the best teams of all time. All right, number 6 is going to be Envious again, and it's Envious 2011 to 2000. Or so I'm sorry, it's Envious 2008 to 2011. Now, this roster, Envious 2008 to 2011, consisted of Hastro, Foreplay, Stainville, Nameless, Fierce, Sidrock, Sharp, Proofy, Terrorist, Dito, Bobby, and Fears. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch that much COD 4 competitive. I did watch a lot of MW2, but some of these players, I will admit, I did not watch the most of. But I did watch enough of them to know that this Envious roster, especially the one in COD 4 and MW2, they were one of the two teams that really made COD competitive a thing, along with another team on this list that we're going to get to shortly. But like this roster right here, they won like the COD 4 won half the championship. I think they battled it out with the other team that we're going to talk about, and the 2010-2011 roster, they dominated Black Ops 1. They were a great team. They were just great teamwork. All the players I just said are legends. If Call of Duty ever has a Hall of Fame, all of those players are going to be on it. They were just a dominant force that those 3 years are like we're never going to forget that team, in my opinion. I think especially the 2008 one, 2009 one, the COD 4 one, we're never going to forget because it really in my opinion, that's one of the teams that really, again, skyrocketed Call of Duty eSports. It's what it is today because of that team, in my opinion. Alright, the next one, number 5, is the team I was just talking about, Team Fear, of 2008 to 2011. And the roster of 2008-2011. And that roster consisted of Assassin, Moho, Pac-Man, Choppy, Proofy, Punisher, Twiz, Fizzerp, John, and Dito. Now, I'm just going to say this right now. Assassin was the Scumpy before Scumpy. He was the best player of all time before Scumpy really skyrocketed MW3. Nobody really thought he was going to be that good, if I can remember correctly from COD 4, but he turned out to be this amazing player that he's honestly probably the first best player of all time. In my opinion, he's in my top 5 players of all time. And again, this team in Envy, back in COD 4, started COD competitive. We are here today as competitive COD players because of these two teams. We should never forget what they have done. They really made COD eSports what it is. They didn't let anything get in their way. They know that it was a small thing, but they loved doing it, and they never gave up. And now it's a $100,000 tournaments all the time, while they were playing for like $2,000 at land. I love that team to death, and the BO1 team it's the exact same. They dominated, especially with Assassin and Moho. Those guys, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this team really. When I think of Call of Duty eSports, I think of Team Fear, in my opinion. This team, this legacy of those years, really should never be forgotten, and I hope it is never forgotten. On to the next one. Number 4 is Extravagant of 2008 and 2009. That roster consisted of JCap, Big T, Big T is Big Timer, by the way. JCap, Big Timer, Rambo, Sid Rock, Sharp, and Dodgers. Now, this is one of those teams that it was another considered team to be the Evil Geniuses and Complexity before them. They were a dominant team in MW2. I think they won most of the tournaments besides Envious and Fear. They really did dominate. I mean, just look at that roster. You have some of the you have like I think what's that? 4 of the top 10 players of all time on that team. That roster expanded. And I really think this team, again, should be another team that should always be remembered in COD history, and hopefully it will be. Number 3, this is obvious, it's Farico Impact of 2012 and 2013. This roster consisted of Parasite, Karma, Miracles, and Killa. They're the first ever World COD champions. They dominated BO2. They didn't let anybody get in their way until the very end, where Complexity took over. But they were the first ever COD World Champions. They really, like, I can't believe this team. Too bad they didn't stick together to play later on into Ghost. Maybe they could have done like they did before and maybe win the World Championship again. But, I mean, that team just, it's, again, another team that should never be forgotten. I'm glad this team existed because this is a team that really made it like, we're dominant, we're going to win. And it was the first, this was the first dominant team. And I'm proud to have really watched them and everything like that. And I'm just, again, so glad that they are remembered today. Hopefully they'll be remembered in the years to come. Number 2, this one's going to be surprising for some people. Not for me, honestly. It's Optic Gaming of 2015, featuring the roster is Scump, Crim6, Formal, Karma, and Nadeshot. Now, this team did lose the biggest tournament of the year, World Champs, COD Champs. And that's upsetting, but think about it. They won every other tournament except the first one, COD Champs, and I think 2 other ones after that. They literally dominated AW. I think they have the best record in Call of Duty history for most LAN tournaments won, which is just that is so amazing. No matter what people say, oh, they lost World Champs. All right, so did a lot of other teams, but they're on this list. They really put themselves on the map, I think. Optic Gaming dominated at AW. Again, winning, I really do think they had the best record in COD history for LAN events. And that might never change. Hopefully they'll do good this year in BO3 and win the World Championship. I personally think they will. But yes, Optic Gaming 2015 is number 2. Number 1, this one is obvious. If you are a eSports player for COD, you know this team. You know it's number 1. It is Complexity / Evil Geniuses 2013, 2014. This team is the best team of all time, and I don't think it will ever change. This team really did dominate. I've said dominate so many times in this video, but if you go back and look at their gameplay, they played it so well. They literally spent all their time of their day looking up plays, thinking of strategies, everything. They didn't take this like a fun time. They took it like, this is serious, this is our job, this is our life, we are going to win every event. And I think they got 4th or 5th, I think, at COD Champs in BO2, but they won Ghost World Championship, which was just amazing. Everybody on that team was so happy. I mean, there's so many great moments, like, I don't know if you remember the 05 comeback against Optic and the Fall Invitational. That was just amazing. They have a 2-time world champion on their roster. Well, at that point, it was Karma. He's one of the best players of all time, and just he helped that roster so much evolve into this great thing. And that team will never be forgotten. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the roster. It was Crim6, Karma, TP, Aches, and Clayster. Some people say Clayster shouldn't be involved or should be remembered. I think he should, because without him, I don't think Complexity would have got that media attention like they did, because he really hyped them up and really got them on the map. But yes, they're the best team of all time, and they're probably going to stay like that in my opinion. Alright, that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you for watching this. I really enjoyed making this list. I did a lot of research, watched a lot of old videos to try and make this list possible for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment and tell me if you liked it. Maybe a suggestion of what video I should do next. Again, thank you. Have a nice day. See you, YouTube.